You're tuned to KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM, K277CR, Durango, Colorado.
We have a 911. Armed robbery in progress. See surplus store, corner People's Drive, North 44th Street.
Hi, welcome to CopShop. I'm Nicole Brown. I'm the Public Information Officer for Farmington Police Department.
And I'm Chief Steve Hebbe with Nicole, as always.
Yeah.
We're having off to a little rough start. The pandemic has us off our game a little bit.
A little bit. It's strange to be here at KSJE and there's like no one in the halls outside and it's just a little...
All the lights are down.
I know.
Saving energy.
We can't give Scott a hug when we walk in.
No,
weird.
none of that. Although we still adore him, of course.
Yes, from afar.
But we've actually got a guest with us today as well. And he is somebody you know well.
He is. We have Tyus Ellison with Dispatch with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been very busy at the dispatch center. I'm really glad I was able to get away.
Get a short little break.
Yeah, just a little bit of time.
No, we're super glad that you're on because there's a lot of information sharing that we can do right now and to kind of help your call load and that. So we're excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So these are unusual days for us, and we thought Tyus could help us help you. And help us help you. That was Jerry Maguire. That's a great movie.
Help me help you.
That's right. And, maybe we can get Scott dancing, for the money. Show me the money. But we're trying to answer some of your questions, and we know lots of folks have had them. The dispatch center gets a lot of calls. We've had a lot of messaging and calls to the police department asking things that are now part of our basic lives, and we need answers to. So we're going to give you some information today and talk about where you can find some of those answers and maybe dispel some rumors as well. Rumors in a time of crisis always seem to pop up, and I'm not even sure where they come from, but we can clear up a bunch of those today. So it should be a good show.
Yeah, hopefully. We really hope that we address all of that. So Tyus, first tell us about you.
Oh gosh, where do I start? So I've been working with the San Juan County Communications Authority for coming up to 3 years next month.
Awesome.
Yeah. Prior to this, I used to work with the Shiprock Police Department and dispatch with them. And I don't know, it's a field I never seen myself in my younger days. Well, kind of am still young, but in my younger days, I never see myself going into this type of field, and I just love it. I go to work every day. It's not one of those jobs where you just like, it's something new every day, which is what I love. I like to call it the hardest job you'll ever love.
That is very true. Those are true words. So what are some of the calls that you guys are receiving at dispatch that we can kind of help maybe answer some questions on?
I think one of the biggest calls is probably like travel related questions, and a lot of whenever they first announced the essential, non-essential employees and stuff like that, a lot of people started asking, am I essential, am I non-essential? And that's probably where the largest call load comes from. Is that, and including the travel, like who can I travel, or I do this, or like my husband takes care of like horses or whatever, and just like livestock and other stuff. They're asking you like, can we do that? And
yeah, and so we've gotten some of those questions too, and I don't know where the rumor started that people can't travel, why they feel like they're locked down, but no one's locked down right now.
And there's no paperwork or, there's no documentation that you have to have on you in case the police stop you. Officers may stop you just like any other day. We're still out there enforcing the law and enforcing speeding and making sure that people are safe when they're traveling. But we're not pulling people over randomly looking for paperwork to prove that you're an essential person. First of all people are essential, aren't
exactly.
they?
100. Everyone's
all
essential.
people are
That's
essential.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
However, as far as being out of your house during the quarantine, certainly the governor's order is she wants us to stay home unless absolutely critically necessary to be out. That does include a few jobs, and it does include things like shopping and so the ability to get food and things like that. But it is not true that police are stopping people demanding proof that they should be out or can be out. And so you can travel if you absolutely need to. It's just recommended right now, because we don't want to spread this around to each other. It's recommended that we hunker down here for a few weeks and we try and ride this out and see if we can tamp down this virus.
Exactly. And so if you are listening and you know anybody who's been telling people that, please tell them to stop, because it's not true. You can travel. The only travel that I think is restricted right now is the international border between New Mexico and Mexico. So that is restricted to only essential trips or essential people. So that is off there. We did put up yesterday. We shared some frequently asked questions, and that was one of the things that we addressed, that the state borders are not closed, but we do, like Chief said, we want everyone to stay home if you can, if you're able to, and you don't have to go anywhere for your job, stay home. But the state borders are not closed, and the New Mexico border is only open to essential travel.
So last weekend we were dealing with a rumor that was going around that the New Mexico National Guard was being activated and that they would eventually close down all the borders. I'm not really sure if that's possible to do. It sounds like something you could see on a good movie.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like more people being out than we probably want.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this case, that rumor actually made it all the way up to Washington, D.C., so I think it was the Department of Health and Human Services. They got on and talked about it and said that is not true. We are not doing that anywhere in the country. There is no National Guard activation shutting down borders, and that has proven, to be false. Obviously, here this week. So borders are open for travel if you absolutely need to. But I do want to say, though, we're sitting here talking about people and questions and how we're writing out. I really feel like our community's done just an outstanding job during a very difficult and unprecedented time. Mm-hmm. So 29 years I've been in law enforcement. I've never seen anything like what we're seeing right now. And really, our citizens, when I have to be on the road to head into work, our citizens are not out there. I mean, the road is really not congested. People are staying home. I know people are out walking and doing things like that, which is great, but they're not packing off to work every day, and I appreciate it, and it is going to make a difference. It is going to help your neighbor. It is going to help your family.
I agree. We've seen some comments on our page of people saying that people aren't staying home, so I kind of ventured out a little bit yesterday, just through town instead of my normal route, and I had to disagree. I felt like I was at Main and 30th, which is a big busy intersection, and typically there's 12 cars waiting to turn left onto Main from 30th, and there were 4. So I think that the problem that we have in Farmington with that is a lot of healthcare and law enforcement and oil and gas are some of our biggest employers. Right. And they're all essential. So, right. It does look like there's a lot of people out, but I really think it's just people going and getting essential needs and going home, and then essential workers. So I don't think that our community is acting,
I don't think they're disregarding the
exactly.
request.
That's what I'm trying to say. Thanks.
I mean, we're not in New York City. They show some of those pictures of New York City. Well, first of all, that's extremely condensed. And like you said, I don't know that they have oil and gas. I don't know that they have hospitals right down in the heart of downtown New York City. So maybe, and I know they used to have a lot of tourists, and they're not having the tourists there. Mm-hmm. But as far as we go, I also want to do a major shout out for people that don't get heralded very often, and that's our store clerks.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
All those folks are showing up to work. Somehow, massively, they became essential workers, right?
They are.
Almost overnight. And they're going in every day, and they're facing this crisis right in the eyes, and they're helping us get food for our families, and they're staying open, keeping the stores open, restocking the shelves when they, in between shifts. I'm really proud of them. And they should be proud of themselves, and their families should be proud of them. But yes. we should all be appreciative of it.
Oh, man. And just the couple times that I've gone out to grocery shop, they have been so wonderful and kind. And that is just, I always just want to hug them because that it's so stressful for them right now. And they're working long hours, and a lot's going on for them. And they're still providing excellent customer service, and they're happy to be where they are. And so just like you said, shout out to them. They're doing amazing, and we couldn't function without them.
Now, we could put up a resource to see if you actually can hug the store clerks in a pandemic. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think you can.
I know. I want to just be like, air hugs, guys, air hugs.
Now that maybe we can do,
Maybe like a little shoulder as you walk by or something.
But they're doing amazing.
They are doing amazing. And they don't get very many shout-outs.
They don't, yeah. I mean, I've gone to a few grocery stores, but just every time you just see just everyone's faces, like there's obviously that face of worry, and it's like, just stay home as much as you can. That's basically what it is right now.
So, Tyus, what else?
Are there openings up there, Tyus?
Yeah.
Do you have openings at
We did. We had job openings earlier this year. Unfortunately, we did close them. We did receive the amount of applicants we need.
Oh, yay!
And
that's
so
good to
they're
hear.
they're currently in the hiring process, but I believe that's been halted for the time being due to the current situation. So, but we're pretty hopeful that all of them pass through the prerequisites and hopefully get through.
So, how long does it take to train a dispatcher?
Typically, it actually just varies between training will sometimes take longer than usual. It really just depends on just how they receive the training and how they're able to perform it. For me, it took me 6 months to just successfully go through all the training process, but that's only because I had experience. Previous experience.
So you two knew each other when before I was able to spirit Nicole away and bring her over to the dark side. How long did you guys work together?
Oh, well, as long as I was there, 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And she was your supervisor?
She was a supervisor, yeah. She was my supervisor.
I was.
So she's kind of my supervisor now. So tell me
any
any tricks.
Believe it. Yeah.
It didn't take long. I thought there was a probationary period.
No.
I look at my collar. I think I'm still chief, but it doesn't always feel like it.
You got to spit out your gun before you.
I guess so.
You can't be.
Yeah,
That's
I had
my
that
job.
yesterday. That was another one yesterday. So she's a taskmaster. But so I'm sure you're a great dispatcher as a result of that kind of micromanaging.
I try my best every day.
So, fun fact, Tyus was in training the day of the Aztec shooting on Channel 10 on the Farmington primary channel, and his trainer had called in sick that day, and so as a supervisor, I was sitting with him.
Yeah.
And we joked after the fact, after, we had kind of already dealt with everything, Tyus was like, man, for like a hot minute, I was signed off by myself.
Yeah. Probably the scariest.
Because there was a lot going on
minutes.
as a supervisor that I was kind of working and doing. And so poor Tyus is a brand new little trainee. He was signed off by himself for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
On the Farmington
channel.
It was a very busy channel. But we got through it.
We did.
Yeah.
Successfully.
Well, and that's, people see the police officers, and, of course, I love the cops, but there's so many other people behind the scenes. We've got all sorts of civilian employees at the police department, and, of course, then there's the EMS folks and the fire folks, and ultimately there's the dispatchers that are receiving all these calls and are trying to steady people in a difficult time. This is a time where people don't feel a lot of control, and they're reaching out, and sometimes not as pleasantly. But you guys, I think, have done an excellent job of managing a tough situation. Like I said, I think it's unprecedented in our country to see something like this, and we're all kind of doing a pretty good job, I think, of getting people information when we can and getting them help. The rest of the time.
Exactly. And like another thing we want to stress, like he said, we're trying to get this under control. We're receiving multiple calls daily and asking like just several questions where unfortunately we sometimes don't have the answer to, and we have to redirect you to another location. Most of the time we're directing people to like the New Mexico Department of Health's non-health related COVID-19 hotline. But we only have 4 non-emergency lines at dispatch. And whenever all 4 of those lines are taken, the line rings busy whenever someone calls non-emergency. And we only have 14 911 lines. And so for whatever reason, whenever people get a busy tone on non-emergency, they hang up and dial 911. And they're asking non-life or death questions. They're asking non-emergency questions. We just ask that everyone just try and be patient and just keep trying until you get someone. There's only so many of us that work in a shift, and with all the calls that are coming in, we're trying our best to keep the flow of calls coming in.
Well, but I think it's important to point out that police and fire and medical dispatch is not the place to be asking those questions.
Exactly.
That there's so many resources out there, and we are really trying our best to get those resources put out as much as we can on every platform available. But things are changing very rapidly, and so it's very difficult to make sure that we're providing the correct places to get information, and we really are working as hard as we can to provide it to you guys, and make sure, because we know that this is making a lot of people anxious. I'm not an anxious person, but this all makes me have a little bit of anxiety, and so we want to provide that information, but dispatch isn't, it's real, other emergencies are still happening as well as this. And so it's a lot to handle, and, we are definitely trying to get all that information out to everyone. We put out, like we said, our frequently asked questions. State Police put out one as well, addressing, there's another rumor going around that officers are stopping people, and we kind of already talked about that. We're doing regular kind of traffic stuff, but we're not stopping people and questioning where they're going and asking if they have papers. It's not happening.
Now, we do have up on the Facebook site for KSJE, which if you're watching, and we've shared we're doing a watch party on a couple of different channels. You'll see the COVID-19 fact sheet that Nicole put together. It's some of the frequently asked questions that we've been getting at the police department, and that I'm sure you two over at Dispatch have been getting. And it's routing you off to some of the other sites. Some of them are with the state. If you have concerns about a business that is staying open and you're not sure if it's really supposed to be, or if you have concerns about things like the rumor, another rumor that we had a curfew. There was a rumor that FPD and Sheriff's Office deputies were stopping people because there was a curfew. There is no curfew here in Farmington or in San Juan County. The Navajo Nation does have separate rules, and we've given you some information on where you can go to see those rules. Navajo Nation they're struggling too to try and deal with this issue, and so they've got some rules that if you live out there in the nation, we've got the website up for you. But otherwise, if you'll log in, take a look at that. It's worth just spending 15 or 20 minutes. Heck, we're all locked in anyway.
Right.
So take a pause on the Monopoly game and log in and take a look at some of the websites that we've provided for you. And there'll be some answers to some of these questions. But the biggest overwhelming one, I guess, we don't really have up there, and that's the travel one. And there is no travel restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
And something like on a lighter note that I saw on Nextdoor, some people were doing, you can kind of put it out to your neighborhood to do a bear hunt. So you can put a stuffed bear like in your window, and so then families that have kids, when they go on their walk during the day or whatever, they can look for bears. So it's a cute idea. There's lots of great stuff on Nextdoor. I believe they've put up a help map or a helper map, I think. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but you, anybody who would like to volunteer to go get your elderly neighbors groceries, or anything like that you can do, volunteer or whatever, and then other neighbors that are needing things can find it on the map. So that's a really great resource. If you're not on Nextdoor, feel free to sign up. We love to see that. There's plenty of neighborhoods in and around Farmington and in the county. So utilize it. It'll help kind of keep you, Scott talked about with Megan on one of their shows about how social distancing and physical distancing. And I really liked that you addressed that you can still be social through technology while keeping a physical distance. So, and Scott put up a graphic there. What is physical distancing? And so you want to stay 6 feet away from people, and but you can still be social. You can, I FaceTimed a friend the other night we both had our glasses of wine, and she unboxed a gift that I had sent her for her birthday, and so you can still be very social, but be sure you're keeping that physical distance. So it's physical distancing. I'm
So
going to rebrand it.
We've had lots of folks watching today, so there's a plus for the virus, I guess, is people have little else to do but watch us.
I know. Hey, guys. We're so great you joined us.
We're trying to take it as a compliment and not just, you're so bored you might as well watch us. But we're on every other week on Friday. Always entertaining. We're always trying.
Yeah.
Now, Scott is a big Buffalo Bills fan, for those of you that don't know that. And we're coming up fast on the draft. And how's Buffalo looking in the off season?
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
Well, that's not quite the answer I was hoping for. Scott needs to focus a little bit more on the Buffalo franchise, but we'll help him out with that. Okay. We've got some other announcements, things that we've changed here this week. Like Nicole said, it's been actually a very busy week. Things are changing quickly for us. Mm-hmm. We did shut down our records division, so until yesterday, I guess, you could still come into the police department. We were still open for business like we normally would. Now we're trying to route folks to our online platforms for things like IPR requests or filling out police reports. You can do that online now. We've always had the ability. We're just steering folks away to try and protect our officers from more contact. We also you'll see our officers from time to time in gloves and with glasses on when they're responding to calls. We are not doing masks yet, but that might be something that if things get worse here in the San Juan County area, which is possible, we might actually begin having officers wearing masks all the time in an effort to try and keep our responders safe and out there in the field. But that's one of the challenges for us is trying to find that blend between we're still open for business, we're still your police department, we still respond to calls, but we're trying to keep our officers safe and not get them exposed to things.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to highlight was that us at dispatch were asking if anyone calling for physical contact from a police officer, especially like fire EMS, we're asking questions if you're having any symptoms that are associated with COVID-19, and it's just for our officers' safety. And we just want the officers to remain safe because, of course, our priority is not only the citizens of San Juan County, but, of course, the personnel we dispatch for. So those are additional questions you guys, the citizens, should be made aware of, is that we're asking.
And that's great. And when you look at it, I mean, we look at New York City or Detroit, and I see 20 or 30 or 40 officers that are off on quarantine. And folks, if we have 20 or 30 or 40 officers get hit and can't come to work, we're going to have a problem here in San Juan County. And it doesn't matter if it's FPD. We have about 128 officers right now. But you've also got your sheriff's office. There are roughly 100 officers. That includes command staff. Yeah. So my 128 includes command staff. I guess you could see me responding to calls eventually, but we might not love that notion. Might not be the service.
I've heard the story, San Juan County. I don't know.
Yeah. So we are trying hard to keep our officers safe so that they can respond. And like Nicole said, we still have all sorts of actual crime, just like we had before this hitting. Unfortunately, that hasn't all shut down. So those are good questions, and we're appreciative of your support.
So we are almost out of time, but we did want to say again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and really be aware of the sources that you're getting your information from, because there are some rumors floating around. There's posts that get out on social media that aren't always factual, they aren't always true. So really be conscious of where you're getting your news from. Everything is changing very rapidly, and all the official sources are trying really hard and working really hard to get the correct information out to the public. So follow those pages. Follow San Juan County OEM, the Office of Emergency Management, the Sheriff's Office, FPD, the City of Farmington, San Juan County. We're all really working together, and of course dispatch has really good information.
We have our social media site too. We have San Juan County Communications Authority on Facebook, at SJCCA 911 on Twitter and Instagram. So those are really good places.
So we're signing off, but we're proud of you, and thank you very much for all you're doing to keep this community safe. And we'll see you in 2 weeks on the CopShop.
tuned to the beacon KSJE 90.9 FM, your information and cultural beacon for the Four Corners, serving Aztec, Bloomfield, and Farmington. Reach us today online at ksje.com.
Hi, I'm Tracy Hales-Vass, writer, retired professor of creative writing, and founder of One Book, One Community. I now host Right On Four Corners every Wednesday, 10:30 to 11, when I'll talk to local and regional authors. So please join me Wednesdays here on 90.9 FM KSJE Farmington.
KSJE is supported by the University of Denver Graduate School of Social Work Four Corners program. They're proud to offer a Master's of Social Work degree in the Four Corners community. Applications for the 2020-2022 cohort is now open. Classes are taught Fridays and Saturdays in Durango, Colorado. Find out more at 970-247-9773 or at du.edu/socialwork/Four Corners.
Tune into Turntable Taxi on KSJE Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. Each week, we select a musical style and play 78s, 45s, and 33 RPM records. Some of our themes will include swing music, blues, heart-wrenching torch songs, early rock and roll, girl groups, soul, and R&B.
Robots the size of blood cells, Earth-like planets outside the solar system, science fiction.
No, science faction.
Join us, Seth Shostak and
Molly Bentley and
KSJE Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. for Big Picture Science.
Big Picture Science steps back to get the wide-angle view on science and technology.
So think big. Big Picture Science, Saturdays at 8 a.m.
on KSJE, the information and cultural